All right. Hey, everybody. It's T here from To the T. I have Amber Jones with me today, and I'm so excited. We have been missing each other on Facebook, on phone calls, on I feel like I just want to squeeze you right now and just kind of hold you
Okay,
and
he's back.
for a minute.
Yeah, we've been playing phone. I guess it's not phone tag, huh? I guess it's a social tag.
Social tag, I guess that's the new word, right? We created it.
There it is. We termed it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for having me or being here with me
No, well,
today.
thank you for having me. I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah, no, for sure. And a little bit about what this podcast is I want to highlight women, and because I do feel, especially like I've been listening to your story, I'm seeing you
Mm,
on different podcasts, and I could relate to you, I could connect with you because I feel
mm,
like I was in the same position as you were, where it was like I had a job, and then, my husband came home, and then, it was almost like that Wolf of Wall Street. Like, is this how much you brought home? Like,
mm.
I'm quitting today. Like, like, and then I love that, like, you kind of found your passion. And,
Mm,
I feel like, especially like everybody wants to know their numbers, everybody wants to know about marketing, like everybody wants to know the big stuff. But
mm,
what I love about you is that, like, you're taking, like, hey, listen, after you send that message out,
mm,
text, voicemail, text or whatever, you know a lot of people are thinking, okay, we're done, we're going to just wait for the leads to start coming in, but you're like, hold
mm.
on, they didn't even connect with that. They didn't even
Yeah,
get your message, and
right.
I like the follow up on it, because I feel like that's where a lot of business owners drop the ball, because they're like, I sent the text out, but they're not
Mm,
checking on it. So
mm-hmm.
enough about me. I want to hear about you, your passion, and what drove you to what you're doing today.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll try not to. Whew, where do I start? Okay. So all right, how did I get here today? My husband and I actually have a residential window cleaning company. That company was started out of necessity, because I did have a marketing background and I got sick. And like at the time, he was doing data entry, and he's like, "I need to do something more to provide for the family." And he showed it to me. Keith Kalfas, you know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah,
big
yeah.
name. Yep. And
Manly
so
Texas.
yep, yep. And so then I says, okay, well, let's do it. And so that was about 5.5 years ago.
Hmm.
And marketing has still always been my passion. I don't know if I'm a marketer or just a nerd. Like maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you found your niche because of this.
Yeah, yeah. So I knew from the beginning that, like, because of my own personal anxieties that I had when people of service companies came over, like
Yeah.
we rented our house. And
Hmm.
so anytime something went wrong, they would just hire someone off of Craigslist. And I
Yeah.
literally would have anxiety attacks. And
Yeah.
so when we started our company, I almost was obsessed about, like, we need to know who's coming to the house, because I don't want someone to feel that way about me, like or my husband. And so I've always tried to, but between that and then just, between, health troubles and then kids and then trying to homeschool, I was like, okay, well, if it's just me and Kelvin, I have to make it lean. I got to
Exactly.
have my push button responses ready. Right. And
Mhm.
so everything that I share or create came from necessity, essentially, because it's always been me and Kelvin.
Yeah.
And there's a point where I had a VA and everything working for us, but
Hmm.
even before you get a VA, if you want someone to succeed, you have to have that process already in place. Like they can't,
Exactly.
no one's going to know your business better than you, right? And
Exactly.
so if you want a good employee to succeed, you have to give them the proper tools. So
Exactly.
um that's kind of where the window cleaning side of it kind of started.
Mhm.
And how I got today, a lot of people are knowing me as the text message person. Like like
Love it. I
they're
love
like,
it.
if you have problem with text messages, contact Amber. And that's just because of a bunch of new regulations and rules that are kicking in place. Like these rules have actually been around for a long time. to combat spam, and all these things have happened um, for decades. Actually, the TCPA, these organizations have been around for decades, but the level of spam is
For
just
sure.
ridiculously out of control. And the FTC and all these regulators and all these entities, they're trying to get a hold of it. And
Yeah.
especially with text messages, right? Because I 100% close via text message. I don't pick up the phone if my kids are, I told myself, I'm like, I don't want my kids to think I'm picking my cell phone up over them.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so I will text, right, in a heartbeat. And so it's a very valuable way to connect to your customers.
Hmm.
It's a very fast way to
Yeah.
connect to your customers, and you can build rapport. And if you know how to do text messages right, you can even build that warm and fuzzy, right? Like kind
Yeah.
of thing, right?
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
And and so that's kind of like I fell into this because as these regulations were coming on, we noticed in our business that one of our customers had said, "Hey, your number's popping up as spam likely." And I'm like, "What?" Like I
Mhm.
didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
And it happened a couple of times, and I kind of looked over it, brushed it off because I didn't know what to do about it. But then I heard it more frequently, and then I started doing research and digging, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is a thing." And there is a reason why this is happening, and it's happening more frequently and to more people. And yeah, so I just started digging down these paths, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the answer? So I'm getting on these webinars, doing, investing in these things, listening to like a TCPA attorney, like all the stuff. It's like this big
Yeah.
rabbit hole,
Yeah. Yeah. For
essentially.
sure. For sure. But somebody has to dig into this.
Somebody said, and that was
Somebody's
essentially,
trying to do
and
it.
that's my thing, because when I kept looking for the resources, everyone's going like the solutions for this stuff is made for enterprise level companies
Yeah.
that make on a minimum 20,000 phone calls a month. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, what about the little guys? And they're like,
Right.
oh, you can still do this, and you can just lock into this contract for like $3,000 a month and for 12 months. And I'm like, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like we literally send like 200 texts a month. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Like that is ridiculous. And I think for like the home service industry, like we're just starting to dabble into this stuff. Like we're
mm-hmm.
putting this into our CRMs, and now we're like, oh, we'll just send them a message, or we'll just, do a drip campaign. This is all new to
Yeah.
us in the last
Yeah.
couple of years. So we're just thinking automatically it's just working on our end. Nobody's
Right.
going kind of any more further into that. And then
Right.
it's like, you found your calling, because if that one person never called, you would have never known. Just like the rest of us as
Exactly.
entrepreneurs, we're just thinking it went through, and
Yeah.
I feel like, that is how like you kind of found your aha moment.
Yeah.
For me, it was systems. Like when
Mm.
finally found, like when the aha moment for me was like, creating job descriptions and, creating systems, like you said, mentoring
Mm-hmm.
the right person. Yeah, you can have a VA, but if you don't mentor them in the right way, what's the use for them?
Right.
You have to, as an entrepreneur, you want to make sure that you set up whoever works for you in your
Mm-hmm.
company, you set them up for success, and they're a representation of you.
Right.
And so,
Right.
you know, especially that awesome rabbit hole that you went down, that's our first like line of defensive contact for a lot of
Exactly.
people.
Yes.
And so like even if we don't even get that first contact, we already lost the game.
Right. Because
So,
think about it, like as a business owner, what do they you get? You go, oh, I'm gonna do Facebook ads, Google ads, and yard signs and all these things. So companies are paying money or putting time and effort into generate, even if it's organic leads, right? You're
exactly.
investing to get that lead. Now, what happens if you go looking for a carpet cleaning company? You call the first one that's there, but if they don't answer, they're gonna make calls to 3 to 5 people, right?
Yeah.
And so by the time you call back, if you call back and your stuff is spam is popping up as like spam likely or something like that, 97% of the time they're gonna ignore it. And I don't even listen to voicemails. Like
Exactly. I do the same. I look at my phone, spam, I don't even pick it up. I don't
right,
even give them the time of day because I don't have that kind of time to be picking up every time the phone call.
right.
The phone
Yeah,
starts ringing. I get it. It's
yeah.
wild. And it's like, you know, it's almost like we're all farmers, right? And we all put the seed out there, but we're not nurturing it. And that's that's what we're doing with these texts. We're putting it out there. We're just crossing our fingers and legs and hoping.
Yeah, and hope it hits. Well, and up until recently, we didn't have to question whether our text messages went through, right? And there's a rule for phone calls and there's a rule for texting. And that's the other thing too, is like, you could be marked as spam over here on your caller ID, but you're texting. It's so much. And so like, I'm trying to convey, like, just generate awareness to people. And it's just like, hey, check on these things. And then the goal is just to give people a starting point, right? Like, hey, check on these things, check if the text messages are going through. Man, I lost my thought. I was on a roll. I just lost my thought.
I get brain fog all the time.
Brain,
you're good. No, but you're just saying that, you got to check on, what you're sending out to your customers, because like, if they're not getting it, and also, thinking about it, if we're calling ourselves, if we're calling our company and we're calling our company phones or whatever, or the company phones are coming back to us, it's already programmed in our phone. So we wouldn't even know that either. So how do you suggest, let's say business owner sending out messages, sending out texts, drip campaigns. What are your suggestions to, make sure that it's connecting with the customer?
Yeah. So I guess the first step is to know that this regulation does affect everyone. So the first question is, how do I know if it affects my business, right? And so if you are a company that is using just a cell phone and you're using it one by, then you're probably okay for now. All right. If you're just using like a direct Verizon or T-Mobile in regards to text messaging, you're probably okay because you're person to person. You're sending out text messages one at a time via a cell phone. Where you need to be concerned is if you have to log in to send an automated text message or bulk text message. If it has that capability where you have to log in, you are no longer using this network, right? It's a separate pathway, right? And that's the A2P pathway, application to person pathway, right?
Love it.
And so that's what has to be registered. So the number one is knowing, is this something I need to worry about? And so what I would recommend doing is, like, every business owner, do a brain dump of all of the ways that you send automated text messages or phone calls, like, and write down each one of those software companies or what those companies. Then step number two is you want to contact those companies and you want to ask them something like this. Hi, I was just wanted to make sure if I need to register so that way my text messages do not get blocked.
Okay.
And because of the new regulation, say the word regulation. Because a lot of the service providers don't even know what's going on. Like, it has been crazy. And so that's thing number one, is see if, like, does this apply to me, right? Do I use more than just a cell phone or more than just a landline?
Okay.
And if yes, let me contact their support. I just Google. Sometimes you can go to Google and say, like, Grasshopper A2P10DLC. And usually, or register your text message, and it'll pop. Usually they'll have something on it. If not, just call them. If you don't feel like doing the Google search, just call them.
So you're saying check if you're using a VoIP system and you're not using your cell phone. Now, what about like a do not call? Like, what if you have customers that, like, you've worked for them before, you want to contact them? Like, that's kind of a funny line. To kind of, how do you deal with that? So you have a customer, do not call. How do you deal with that one?
So actually, one of the other things that business owners are supposed to do, and you can actually look this up on dnc.com and TCPA, but essentially, and again, it's not common knowledge, business owners are supposed to be scrubbing their list against the DNC, the federal DNC, every 31 days. This is stuff I haven't even touched. T, you bringing stuff out of me I haven't even touched on yet. Like, you jumping the gun. Like, but this is good. This is good. Like,
hey, I want to know because, like, listen, this is one thing about my podcast. I want women because, like I said, we could always talk about the profit. We could always talk about
Mm,
all of that stuff. But I had Christine Hodge talking
uh-huh.
about culture, and
Nice.
I had Rebecca Dahl on talking about either you jump or you swim, right?
Uh-huh.
Now we're talking about this. It still has to do with business, but
Right.
it's the small things, the small rocks that matter because
Right.
the big rocks, we always will figure that out.
Right.
Those little things that trickle that we don't think about that have a massive impact.
Yeah, and it's like not only does this impact your bottom line from being able to reach your customers, but and I don't want to jump the gun or put too much fear out there, but bottom line is if we don't start abiding by these regulations,
Mm-hmm.
you're not only missing sales, but you're putting it yourself at risk of higher fines and potentially lawsuits.
Oh
I
wow!
don't want to touch on that too much right now,
But
right? But it's coming down.
responsibilities. There's
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Yes, I've seen so let's jump back to your do not call kind of thing first, okay? So you want to make sure you have what's called express written consent, right? So when you look up these things on dnc.com, TCPA, the whole goal of all these regulations is for business owners to one prove that they're legitimate business owners and
Okay.
prove that you have permission to contact the consumers. And then number three, are you clearly communicating how you're going to contact them, what method you're going to contact them, and the frequency that you're going to contact them? They want to know that, like, as a consumer, they need to know this before they fill out your web form, right?
Yeah,
And it's not just about your website either. If you are collecting leads over the phone, and like if someone's calling you and you're putting them in your CRM that way, technically you want to record those calls because you want to ask them, hey, is it okay that I send you this? You have to get a verbal consent, right?
Love
And
that.
if something happens on the back end, you want to have those recordings because if something happens, and let's say you do get fined, or if there is someone out there that says, "Oh, I want to sue you because you contacted me, you broke these laws,"
You never know.
Legally, we need to log 4 years worth.
Mm.
4 years worth.
Wow.
Yes, they can go back 4 years. So what'll happen is, and I don't want. Okay, let me rephrase. Hold on. I forgot. I got to put my disclaimer. You got me going now. I got to say my disclaimer now. I am not an attorney. I am not an attorney. I am just a nerd. I'm trying to generate awareness. Anything that comes out of my mouth is not official legal jargon or recommendations. Please, if you have any questions or concerns, contact the TCPA attorney in your state. There we go. Okay. Now I can say what I'm saying.
I love that.
Okay. So there are things. So the things that I'm bringing awareness to now is it's mostly I wanted to keep it because these deadlines are in place right now. Text message deliverability is what is affected right now. Like that will bring a business to its knees, right? But the reality is there are a lot of a lot, right?
Enough.
There's stuff coming down the line that we need to cover our hiney. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this, and I think you maybe saw one of my videos where I kind of was breaking down because I'm like, I'm trying to generate awareness about this because this will kill someone's business. It'll kill your business. If you don't have this stuff going and taking it, like popping up as spam is just one component of it. But the reality is there are algorithms working in behind the scenes. If you continually get marked as spam, guess what? People have access to that. Guess what? There's attorneys out there. There's people out there that will intentionally wait for business owners to break these violations and bring a lawsuit against you. Like I've seen solar companies, right? Like I haven't seen many lawsuits about direct, like what we do, like window cleaning, exterior cleaning. In regards to this, but like roofing companies, solar companies, you better believe they're getting targeted already. And so, you got kind of two ends that you got to look out for, right? One end, you got to look out because you got to prove you're not a spammer. But on the other end, you have to look out for those people that are just looking to make an easy dollar because, I know these regulations and most business owners don't. So I'm going to go make an extra 20 grand this year by doing lawsuits and trying to settling out of court, and so it's actually happening. It doesn't happen much in this industry, but in the insurance industry, all these other industries that do heavy cold calling and things like that, it's happening where they will, some people will purposely opt in and request information
Yeah.
And they will wait because they know that you only have 90 days, 30 days, or 90 days if they don't become a customer. And so they'll wait, and they will wait for you to repeatedly break these regulations and then send a demand letter and say, hey, you've broken this 5 times, and it's $500 to $1,500 per per occurrence, and I got you down for 10 times, but I'll settle out of court for 2,000, right? Like,
wild.
and then you've got the legitimate consumers that want to hear from you. So so the biggest thing that I just want to bring awareness to is, guys, like, it's using the phones are no longer like the wild, wild west. We can't just do what we want to do. Voice drops as well, right? Those people doing voicemail bombs, they're awesome. They're awesome to use, but use them with caution now, right?
Exactly.
Make sure that your customers know that you're documenting some kind of way that the customers, excuse me, they agree and approve of sometimes sending recorded messages, right? There's a lot of little intricate details behind it. And, in the future, I plan on bringing awareness to this. Right now, I'm focusing on what is the pain point. I literally was in someone's Twilio account looking at their text message delivery, and 50% of their text messages were blocked because they didn't register, right? And
crazy.
And a lot of times you won't even know it. It's just like your customers will be like, "Oh, I didn't know, I didn't get the text message."
Yeah.
It's not going away. You know how some people said the big C, COVID, they're like, it's here, it's not going away.
Yeah.
I feel like this is what this is too. Like, for business owners, like, it's like, hey, I want to start a business, go get business insurance and all these things, and go get a Google My Business or Google Places, right? Now it's going to be, okay, monitor your phone, register and monitor your phone numbers now. Like, it's here. It's here. And
it's going to trickle down to us eventually,
Yeah, it already has, right?
Yeah. And the thing is like, it's almost like, the tow truck waiting on the side of the highway. Mm-hmm. It's about to happen.
Yeah.
Let's just get ready. And, you are the only one that I feel has spread this awareness.
I appreciate it.
I love, because all of this I didn't know. I'm thinking I just, send out a text mass text, or, do a drip campaign, and I'm good. And then I was getting, I never received that. And I'm thinking, and I'm going back in my CRM, and it's like, oh yeah, it was sent. But not knowing, oh no, you got to register, or, oh, let's check how many were connect with customers. And I just love it. I mean, I can't wait to see where you're going next and what else you bring to the table.
Oh man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's actually it's strangely become a passion, because I'm grateful, and I don't take this lightly. Like, I don't take the message that I feel like is almost a blessing, because I love marketing and I love automation. I love all these things, but I never really felt like I found my place, right? And so I've put things out and I share things. Hey, this marketing campaign worked for us. Go try it. I've done that through the years, but I never really found my voice.
You found it. This is it. I'm going to tell you now. And before we hopped on the call, you said about the light.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in your boat too. I was like, I like to do systems. I got the business, but I really kind of have to find, where do I fit?
Yes.
And I now am an accountability advisor with Concord.
Nice.
And I'm helping other business owners create systems and get to the next level. And I said to myself, when I get this job, I'm going to buy this neon light. And that was like my gift to myself. And so I bought this neon light. To the T, came out of COVID. I didn't know what direction it was going to go into, but I'm an electrician by trade, and I knew I would figure it out. And then, sometimes it just falls into your lap, and you just run with it, and you find your new passions. So,
and you know what's crazy? And I know we're kind of switching gears. Isn't it crazy how, I don't know if it's like this for you, but this whole A2P stuff, it stressed me out. And my eyebrow twitched, and it was nerve-wracking, and I actually hated it at first. I was like, "This is stupid." Like, I'm not a spammer. I don't have to worry about it, right? But my husband and I promised ourselves, change and opportunity always happens out of discomfort.
Exactly.
And we promised ourselves, I want to take this time to thank my husband for being supportive and thank all the women in the community that
For
actually
sure.
helped, help me start generate the momentum going. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be here without, I'm going to try not to get teary eyed, but I wouldn't be here a lot with, those few people that actually saw and believed. Whew.
It's a thing though, and
I'm sorry.
somebody has to bring awareness. And that's what I want to do with this podcast, because I
Yeah.
do feel like women, like a lot of us women are behind our men and we're not shining. And we have a lot to say and we need to shine. And I want people like you to be on here shining, spreading the word, and showing us your passion, because you love it, and you're just so like, just you talking about it, like I'm all in it, like I'm like, oh, what else?
Right.
I have some more time, like
No, that's awesome. Like I feel like, and that's the thing, this has been the scariest. Now to put the text messaging stuff aside, this has been
yeah.
the scariest, most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life. And I've given birth to 4 children all natural. Like this has been the scariest. Like,
But that means you're growing. If you're
yeah,
comfortable, you're not growing, and that's
yeah.
when you know this is right, because it don't feel right.
It
It's
don't feel right, right? And that's why I think that's why I wanted to connect with you too, because I think Melody started like a challenger, like a video challenge. And
yeah,
I was like, we were like rooting for each other. And
yeah,
it
for
is the
sure.
most uncomfortable thing. But then it comes a point where the cause is more important than your comfort.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
so I applaud you for what you're doing too. It's
Thank
awesome.
you.
I applaud all the women in the industry, because over the last year, I can see a big shift of like, okay, boys, y'all have done an awesome job,
Yep,
but
but
it's
here
our
we
turn now. Like,
go.
like
Yeah,
it's been awesome. It is so freaking cool. Like,
I love it. And having people like you, because I would have never thought of this, like I said.
mm,
And, for you to spread the word, I'm like, we need, and we kept, disconnecting. We kept trying to connect, but I'm glad we're here. And,
yes.
we're almost at the end. But
Mm,
what I want you to do is, can you
mm-hmm,
share a nugget, one thing that, you want to spread to
mm.
other people that are watching this podcast, that one word, or something you can share, a great nugget for everybody.
This has nothing to do with what I was talking about
It doesn't matter.
here, but there was so last night I had stayed up really late, and I had to crash really early last night, and my brain wouldn't shut down, and I was in this dark. Sometimes I'll just go in a dark, silent room, and this epiphany hit me, and I was like, if you have thoughts that keep you up at night, I should have wrote it down. I was like, if you have thoughts that keep you up at night,
Yeah.
that means they need to be heard and listened to and taken action on.
Ooh, I love.
And that's the biggest nugget, is
I'll
because
take it.
we have all these things that keep us up at night that are on our mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like just one at a time. We have to let those voices tell us what the true concern is.
Yeah,
Like,
I love
find
it.
that true concern, listen to that true concern. Your body's telling you something. Dig deeper. What is the root of it? And then just take those things one at a time. And whatever you can't control, if you're a person of faith, it ain't on you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a person of faith. Whatever I can't control, I give it so you can only do so much, but you
Yep.
have to address it at the same time. You got to address it. You got to address those tiny voices in your head, or else it would drive you crazy. So,
Awesome. I love it. What a great way to end. I want to thank you, Amber, so much for taking the time to spend with me today. Anything you want to plug, anywhere you're going to be soon that people can watch
uh,
you?
yeah. So, I don't really have opportunities to go. I know the huge convention is coming up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be there, but guys can always catch me, in my Facebook group. We got a Facebook group. I forgot what it's called. Protect My Phone Rep. Or
Ooh,
you can go to my website, protectmyphonerep.com. I'm building out a lot of resources to help educate people. This isn't just about me trying to build a business. This is about me trying to spread awareness.
Awareness.
So
Exactly.
I'll plug in as many resources I can. I'm creating this cool like automated bot so where you can ask any questions related to this. I'm essentially trying to put my brain
Into the computer.
into the computer. Yes. So because we can only do so much. But yes, if anyone
Yeah,
wants to connect with me, protectmyphonerep.com.
I love it.
And I'll it's all about just generating awareness. So if anyone else out there has an audience, I know we're running over time. If anyone
No,
else out there has an audience, even if you don't, if you want me to come on your Facebook and just do anything like this and let's just have a conversation, anything to help generate awareness, because this really is affecting businesses already and it's going to get worse. And
for
so
sure.
thank you for your time. Thank you for what you do with
No,
To the
thank you.
T.
Yeah. And I
That's
believe
awesome.
in abundance, like this is about sharing and
Yes.
helping each other, you could take that information that you have and keep it for yourself, but you're spreading the word. And that's what I love. And that's why I like being an accountability advisor. It's about abundance, it's sharing
Mhm.
what I know so other people can grow. And
Yes.
that's what it's all about.
Yes.
Why are we here? To share and to grow. So thank you again, Amber. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for To the T. And we will see you next Sunday.
All
Bye.
right.